Hello and welcome to another episode of Becco Movies, where we're talking today about the most likely news of basically Zack Snyder doing a live action remake of The Dark Knight Returns. This has been reported by Cosmic Book News and other outlets, and to be honest, Zack Snyder has been trying to do this movie for ages now. This is how he opened his DC Extended Universe anyway, with that famous line from the animated movie, the interaction between Superman and Batman. So obviously Zack Snyder wants to do this movie. And the good news is, as far as we understood, that it's going to be a standalone movie, it's going to be a period piece, it's going to be set in the 1980s with Reagan. And this is something, it's not just reported by this and that outlet. This is something that was mentioned by Snyder himself, and I've watched the video online. It's I think it was on Joe Rogan, when he said, when you do The Dark Knight Returns, you have to get Reagan. It has to be put in the 1980s. So it's going to be a standalone movie. And of course, as I have mentioned before, if you want this movie to be a huge success, you have to bring William Dafoe as Joker. Because remember, the late Heath Ledger won an Oscar. Joaquin Phoenix won an Oscar, both for playing Joker. So why wouldn't the same thing happen to William Dafoe? This would be the best way you can ask him to do this role, because it's a standalone movie. And if you get this guy as Joker, this is one of the perfect casting that people have been asking for many, many years now. And he would be perfect for this role, even age-wise. For Ben Affleck, it's very perfect for him to do this movie as Joker. So let's get this done. So like I said, Zack Snyder is interested. It's a good time, especially considering that the Saudis backing him money-wise and everything. And it's going to be the same thing with Paramount, which, it can also be done as a standalone movie, even without Paramount's involvement. They can do it as an Elseworld story, which is what most likely will happen. And like I said, you have to get this guy as Joker. I know you can get other actors, for example, John Hamm to play Two-Face. You get also the mutant. You can get maybe Alan Ritchson to play the mutant gang leader. Maybe change his face a little bit with makeup and stuff. And he's got the physicality to do that one as well. But otherwise, this is a guaranteed hit at the box office. Especially when you get the right actors from BVS, Ben Affleck, of course. J.K. Simmons as Commissioner Gordon. Jeremy Irons as Alfred. And what we've heard so far, that Zack Snyder wants Henry Cavill to come back as Superman. And you can change the costumes a little bit. You don't have to use the same costumes that they used in BVS, although they took inspiration from the Dark Knight Returns comic. And it's one of the best Batman comics ever written. So you can always change the suits a little bit. And like I said, as we can see, J.K. Simmons, Jeremy Irons, William Dafoe, we're talking about multiple award-winning actors apart from William Dafoe himself, and this could be his chance to win an Oscar. And if you get the other two, who both of them have won an Oscar each, J.K. Simmons and Jeremy Irons, and not to mention Ben Affleck, who won an Oscar twice. That's an star-studded movie, man. And it has a lot of action. If you've watched the animated movie or read the comics, it's not just going to be about Watchmen talking and this and that, because Snyder does this really well, but at the same time he does action even better, and there are amazing action scenes in The Dark Knight Returns. And for the millionth time, and I'm not going to go into this again, but it's not the same as BVS story is totally different from The Dark Knight Returns. Apart from the suits and the that's about it basically. Apart from the suit design, it's not that similar to The Dark Knight Returns. Even the argument between Superman and Batman, it's totally different in The Dark Knight Returns. And look, guys, Zack Snyder directing, Ben Affleck starring and probably co-writing the movie or producing. This is once in a lifetime opportunity, and you can do it just like Watchmen. Look at Watchmen. Look at this amazing poster, man. You can get these kind of nice suits from the 1980s. You get Michael Wilkinson to design the suits. Maybe you can get Hans Zimmer or Lorne Balfe to compose the score, and you just focus on the action and also the amazing story. You cannot go wrong with The Dark Knight Returns. And like I said, this is something that Snyder wanted to do for ages. And I don't think he's going to do the Justice League sequels unless he does The Dark Knight Returns first. Because as I have mentioned on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, multiple times, he has a hard on for making the Dark Knight Returns, and this is what he wanted to do from day one. And although I love his DCEU and world building, just let the guy have his dream come true and get this movie made. I want him to see how he tackled Batman story with Ben Affleck starring, and Ben Affleck is at the perfect age for this role. I mean, look at the images from Justice League. This is basically from the end of Justice League. He wants to make the movie. I know some people wants to make it as part of the DC extended universe. I don't agree with that idea. The same thing for Joker. I'm not interested in what's his name, Jared Leto to be. He can play it in the main timeline in the DCEU or the Snyderverse. This one, just get like a proper actor, man, like William Dafoe. This is going to be amazing. Now look at the design of the Bat Tank. I mean, that appeared in the Dark Knight Returns. This is straight out of the comics. Mutant gangs, I can see it being updated a little bit, but again, it's going to be set in the 1980s, so even the what do you call them, the glasses and stuff, it's going to be accurate for that time period, and you can do it properly. Like I said, Snyder have proven himself, whether it's the suit designs from Batman v Superman or the tank in Justice League. This is all straight out of the Dark Knight Returns. But as I have mentioned, and this is another homage, of course, in the movie, when Batman jumps in Batman v Superman, this is straight out of the comics and the comic book movie. And apparently Jay Oliva is on board, and he's already done all the storyboards for the movie. So it is literally ready to go. So I think this would be an amazing time to make this movie into live action. If I were Zack Snyder, I wouldn't change anything about the comic. It doesn't have to be similar to the animated movie. Of course, Jay Oliva is the same guy who directed the Dark Knight Returns animated movie, so he will prepare the sketches and everything. I think they have to change it a little bit, but not to change it too much, because the story is perfect. The Dark Knight Returns as a contained story, and again, this is mentioned by Snyder himself. It's an amazing story from start to finish. I wouldn't change anything. Maybe the ending where, spoiler alert, if you've read the comics, Batman fakes his own death, maybe change it a little bit, but keep everything else. Keep Two-Face, keep Joker, keep mutant gangs, keep the 1980 setting, even the nuclear blackout and everything. But for me, like I said, I know it's a personal fan cast, and a dream of mine is to get William Dafoe as Joker. I think this is going to be the selling point of the movie. It's not just a Batman movie and an amazing story and all this stuff, and it's complex and set in the 1980s and all this stuff, and Reagan's going to be president. This is what Snyder wanted anyway. But if you get this guy as Joker, man, come on. And you can get Henry Cavill back as Superman. Maybe you can give him the underwear on the outside, although I don't care about that. But it would be a nice homage, maybe like one scene with it or whatever. The same thing with the Ben Affleck suit. I don't mind updating it a little bit. Although the OG Batman v Superman suit is just perfect on every shape and level, even the mech suit, it can be reused. Maybe make it a little bit more 1980s, maybe more retro and all this stuff, but you need to get Dafoe as Joker, man. It's just going to be amazing. It's going to be perfect, absolutely perfect. And just focus on the aesthetics, the way that the movie looks, which is Snyder something's famous for. Just watch Watchmen. If he can give us the same visual imagery with this movie, it's going to be amazing. And no one can complain about deconstructing the character, because this story is about deconstructing Batman and making him look at the hero at the end, as the hero at the end. He even hates guns and all this stuff, so they can address all these issues of him not killing, and if he has to, it's going to be because he's broken down because of what happened to Robin, and maybe you can show Robin's death and all this stuff. And like I said, this will not affect the main timeline. Even if Ben Affleck comes back for Justice League, for his solo movie, this is a standalone Elseworld movie. This is what DC excels at. This is what DC should focus on. Okay, we all want the Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman interaction, but this is what should happen, because people are fed up with the shared universes. And like I said, Zack Snyder directing, Ben Affleck starring and probably co-writing or producing. It's just a match made in heaven. And it's the 40th year anniversary for the Dark Knight Returns. and Snyder's already done like a tour with what's his name, Frank Miller, who wrote the comic. So everything is it's perfect, man, and the merger that's happening, and I think we're gonna get an announcement very soon. So hopefully, The Dark Knight Returns live action remake with Zack Snyder and Ben Affleck announcement is a matter of time, and that movie is gonna be amazing, amazing. Just get the team behind Batman v Superman, especially Hans Zimmer, Michael Wilkinson, and Larry Fong. It is just perfect. Then Snyder can finish the Snyderverse. Becco movies out.